Are you ready to focus on what you're truly passionate about? At the University of Massachusetts Amherst, we're committed to helping students design a meaningful path for their future. As one of the country's top-tier public research universities, we're helping drive the world forward, empowering students to challenge convention, champion innovation, and embrace the freedom of affecting real positive change in the world. Tap now to explore flexible options for a high-quality education or visit umass.edu. Be revolutionary.
And good evening. We are doing it live right here, Yabba Dabba Do time in the 5 o'clock hour in Los Angeles. Mottek On Money, 5 nights a week for you, live on the air here in 790 KBC, streaming live online worldwide at kbc.com. And yes, the on-demand Mottek On Money podcast for you at kbc.com, Apple, iTunes, all your favorite podcast platforms. Well, stocks kicking off the week on a mixed note, kicking off the month of October as well, and the fourth quarter of 2023, coming off a losing month of September. We did see some headwinds today for stocks with the threat of higher interest rates. The 10-year note yield climbing to the highest seen since October of 2007, all the way up to 4.68%. That's the one that impacts the fixed-rate mortgage rates out there, which continue to climb. We are seeing higher gas prices here in Southern California. So much so that it's probably getting your attention, certainly getting our attention here. I'm going to be asking you, the listener, later this hour, how are the gas prices impacting you? What's your reaction to those prices at or near record highs right now? Are you making sacrifices at this point to continue to drive, to keep your finances in line? We want to get your thoughts, and we'll be taking your calls live later this hour. Also, a lot of political drama, of course, in Washington. No government shutdown today. They did work out a deal over the weekend. But political drama continues with Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida filing a resolution to remove House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, a fellow Republican, from his position as their chamber's leader. We'll be following that. Also, controversy about a fire alarm that was pulled during the voting over the weekend as well. We're also watching the political drama play out involving President Trump, who was sitting in a courtroom today in New York. We'll get an update on what's happening on that as well. Watching what's happening with one of these stocks that took a big plunge today, Smile Direct Club. They've closed a lot of their locations. The stock plunged about 61% after that teeth straightening company voluntarily filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection as its founders committed to help recapitalize the company. And shares of AMC Entertainment, one of those meme names which have been hitting the new lows lately, ended higher by 2%. Variety reported over the weekend that the makers of a concert film of Beyoncé's Renaissance World Tour are in advanced talks to distribute the film directly through AMC following its deal to distribute the concert film Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour starting October 13th. Another reason to stay tuned this hour, I'll have Westgate Las Vegas Relax and Rejuvenate Getaways to give you this week, so stay tuned for that big announcement coming up later this hour. On what's happening in Washington tonight, I'll be talking about that with Republican Southern California Congressman Obernolte, who will be joining us live later this hour. But right now, oh, by the way, nobody got lucky over the weekend. Nobody picked all winning numbers for the Powerball jackpot over the weekend. So tonight, the Powerball jackpot has soared to above $1 billion, $1.4 billion, I believe. So good luck to you and good luck to all of us here. But first, on the markets, the economy, your money, Ben Stein's money as well. Joining us live now, the one and only Ben Stein for our occasional Frankenstein conversation. Ben Stein, of course, well-known financial commentator, political commentator, economist, attorney, author of numerous books, game show host of Win Ben Stein's Money. And yes, that Ben Stein who played the economics professor in the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and one of the most famous and loved scenes in American cinema. Someone who firmly believes the subject of economics and business not boring. Ben Stein, thank you very much for coming to the line live with us here this evening for Frankenstein. A lot to unpack today. Give us your view of the world here this evening.
Well, there's many, many different aspects, but I'm sitting here outside Pavilions, which is a wonderful, wonderful grocery store. It's jam-packed. Prices are breathtaking. I mean, unbelievable. I can't imagine how people manage to pay for it, but they do. And there are long lines of people checking out their groceries. The inflation problem is the key problem right now. And I cannot imagine how Mr. Biden can sleep at night knowing the cause he has been to this terrible, terrible inflation. I mean, this is a man who has very purposefully screwed up the production of fossil fuels in a big, big way that no one would have considered possible. for no good reason, and we're all paying the price for it. And he has all these fantasies, like little children's ideas, that now we're going to make up for missing fossil fuels by having wind energy and wave energy. And if I may say so, dear old friend, I wrote the first speech about these alternative sources of energy when I was a speechwriter for Mr. Nixon long, long ago. And even at the time we were writing, we thought, well, this is a joke. This will never happen. And you know what? It never did happen. And fossil fuels are still by far the best way to get fuel and energy. We're ignoring it. We're spitting in the face of the American consumer. And why, I do not know, except that I think Mr. Biden has a certain clique of, let's say, little children who don't understand anything about economics or about energy, and that they follow him around cheering him. But his ignorance about the economy is just breathtaking.
On the air live with the one and only Ben Stein for a Frank and Stein conversation. Wonderful, Ben, that you're out grocery shopping this evening. Beautiful day today. A Chamber of Commerce weather out there, and you probably just came back from the gas station of the Stars. Last time I looked there, I think the prices were up around $7 or $8 a gallon, near record highs right now here in Southern California. Everybody's talking about that. Where do you see those gas prices go from here? And of course, as we've seen in the past, as gas prices go up, consumer confidence goes down.
Well, I don't see any reason anything would make them go down. I mean, we have the most oil and gas in America, in the United States of America, that any country has in the world. Mr. Biden, for reasons that are just a mystery to me in terms of sanity, has cut back on the production of fossil fuels, which are by far the most efficient, best way to produce energy. And why he's done it, except to please a bunch of little children who know nothing about economics or engineering or finance or energy production, is a mystery to me. But I see the prices going up, up, up. I have a house in Malibu. The prices there keep going up, up, up. The gas station of the Stars, as you so aptly call it, a wonderful, wonderful gas station that's also a famous landmark, a beautiful, beautiful building. Those prices they make my head spin when I see them. But Mr. Biden wants us to not buy gasoline, not produce fossil fuels. I don't understand why. I mean, there's no rational reason for it. There's no evidence that the amount of pollutants produced by oil and gas is in any way meaningful in terms of the life expectancy of Americans. And there are countries in the world that are producing fossil fuels as fast as they possibly can, like China and India and Brazil and Russia, and nobody's doing anything to them. And but we are getting starved of oil and gas. And why? I do not know.
On the air live with the one and only Ben Stein, turning now to the political drama in Washington. No government shutdown today, Ben, because of that deal over the weekend, but now Republican Matt Gaetz of Florida filing a resolution to remove the House Speaker after upset about this deal that was reached over the weekend. And somebody pulled a fire alarm. One of the Democratic lawmakers pulled a fire alarm there during the voting and all that. Give us your reaction to what's been happening there in Washington.
Well, the man who pulled the fire alarm really belongs at a mental hospital. I mean, and to think this man is not, as far as I am aware, is not having any charges brought against him. He by himself did far more damage to the functioning of the government and the functioning of the economy than all the people who are demonstrating on January 6th put together. But no action, as far as I know, is being taken against him, except the most modest chastisement, if even that is taken against him. The government is taking no steps at all to punish the guilty, but they do punish the innocent quite a lot, and that's a kind of sad situation. How we got to that situation, well, that's a long, complicated story, and somehow the Democrat Party has decided that they're going off the deep end and don't really want to govern in an efficient and honest way. Why? I don't know. I mean, when I was a child, which is a long time ago, Democrats were perfectly trustworthy and decent people, and why they have decided to go and act like don't know. The fact that this man is not being punished in any way, and in the same week that our beloved California, which I love so very, very much.
Get an inside look at Hollywood with Michael Rosenbaum, talking with the Phelps brothers.
My gym I go to here is owned by a load of Polish guys. I don't really fit in, a bit leaner, shall we say. And this guy waddles over to me one day and he said, I was back in Poland visiting my family and my niece said, you're going to have to see this program. All of a sudden I see you and he's at my gym. My niece wouldn't believe me, so I had to have a photo with this guy, his name is literally Tank as well.
Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum, wherever you listen.
I was crossing the street when I met the love of my life. I chased after her. Nothing would stand in my way. Not the dog walker, nor the hot dog vendor. Finally reaching her, I asked, what do you call that amazing smell?
It's Gain Flings.
Gain Flings. My love had a name, but more importantly, it had a scent.
Fall in love with Gain Flings. Seriously good scent.
Try Gain Flings today with special savings at Family Dollar.
Has gone to no cash bail. It seems to me to be more than coincidence, and it's that no cash bail is just a breathtakingly stupid idea, especially, as I say, for our beloved California. I don't want my wife, well, my wife doesn't leave her room, but I don't want anybody I love going around knowing that if he or she is attacked, beaten, if car is damaged, there will be basically no punishment. I have a friend, a very, very, very beautiful girl, who said she was attacked on, I think, Melrose and La Cienega, and there's no punishment given to the guy who attacked her at all, none whatsoever. And this girl, who was just barely visible, she says from now on she's not going out without being strapped, which is a term meaning carrying a gun. And the idea that this young woman should have to carry a gun in her own neighborhood, it's absolutely incredible. It's almost unbelievable.
Telling it like it is tonight, the one and only Ben Stein, that we see the U.S. flag and the California flag at half-staff today following the passing of Senator Dianne Feinstein at the age of 90 on Friday. Governor Newsom today appointing Democratic Party and union strategist LaFonza Butler to become California's newest U.S. Senator, taking the seat vacated by Senator Feinstein. Interestingly, the soon-to-be U.S. Senator for California lives in Maryland, we're told, and has been living in Maryland for some time, but reportedly has a property here in California. Give us a reaction to this big news here tonight.
Well, actually, I heard she lives in Virginia, but Virginia and Maryland are virtually next door to each other, and so I don't think that makes much difference. So why they would have someone who's not from California take on this job is a mystery. As far as I know, this person, who I'm sure is a perfectly fine person, I'd love to have her as my friend, has no special training in anything relevant to what's going on in America. It reminds me very much of the fact that the chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors has no training whatsoever in economics. What's going on here with the Biden administration? What are they doing? What's the point? I mean, the point seems to me to be just entirely a racial issue to try to get as many African-American votes as possible. That's fine. They're allowed to do that. This is America. They can do what they want. But I don't get it. If the president really wants to have an effective government, why wouldn't he choose someone who had serious training in government and serious training to be a U.S. senator and serious training in economics to be a chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors? Those are big, big jobs. They require someone who has really serious training.
We're seeing a lot of unusual things this year. Of course, the legal battles faced by President Trump, who was in Southern California over the weekend. Today he spent the day in a New York City courtroom. And I don't know if you saw Charlie Gasparino's column over the weekend, but it looks like we're heading to a Donald Trump-Joe Biden rematch. Despite Wall Street and voter reservations, the money is on a Trump-Biden rematch for the presidential contest next year. Give us your thoughts about what happened today in the New York courtroom. An accountant who worked on the tax returns of President Trump testifying as the first witness in the president's civil fraud trial there in New York.
Well, unfortunately, there probably is something to that charge. I don't I don't want to say anything negative about Mr. Trump because I am a Republican, and I certainly would vote for him if he were running tomorrow. But to me, the evidence that he's acted questionably about his taxes seems to me to be pretty convincing, and I'm sorry to say that's true. I will also say that the great mass of Americans, I think, do commit some kind of fraud, even if it's very modest fraud in terms of their taxes. And I suspect his was more than modest. But I also suspect that the general wave of prosecution of Mr. Trump all over the country is a way of making sure that this very popular and well-loved man who has a real vision for America is not going to be able to run. But I think that it's going to backfire on the Democrats. I think people are going to say this is a gentleman who is being persecuted and prosecuted for nothing while the country is in terrible trouble. And we have one guy who's not a perfect guy, namely Mr. Trump, who's going to be persecuted and prosecuted and hounded as much as humanly possible. And then we have Mr. Biden, who literally cannot speak in a state of delirium a lot of the time. How can we have a president who's in that condition? That we're in a terribly serious world crisis. We have China, North Korea, Iran, Russia. We have a very good-sized war going on in Europe where Russia has invaded Ukraine for absolutely no decent reason at all, period. And we have a president who really doesn't know his ass from his elbow. And it really is very frightening.
We're on the air live with Ben Stein. Do you think we are heading for a Donald Trump-Joe Biden rematch, despite all the legal battles the former President Trump is facing? What about RFK's role in the Democratic side? Has he been completely cast aside? How would you size up the presidential race at this point?
Well, I'd say at this point, Mr. Trump seems to me like he's a shoo-in, but predicting in politics is a very risky thing, and I don't for a minute think that anything that I predict will come true because I predicted it. But I would like to see a Democrat running for office who has really, really serious background in government, and I don't see that here. And if Mr. Trump, well, there's no chance any Republicans that Mr. Trump will get the nomination unless they discover some really, really serious crime by Mr. Trump. So it will be Trump versus a Republican. But I'm sorry, Trump versus a Democrat. I beg your pardon. Where is the Democrat? I don't see any great Democrat candidates anywhere. I don't see any great candidates for anything anywhere. I mean, this is a country which, when I was a small child in 1952, had Dwight Eisenhower, former Supreme Allied Commander, running against Adlai Stevenson, former governor of Illinois, and a very intelligent, well-educated man. What kind of people do we have running now? I mean, it seems to me clowns. I mean, I like Mr. Trump. I'll vote for him for sure. But these guys are clowns compared to people we've had in the past.
Before I let you off the hook here, Ben Stein, any particular places where Ben Stein is putting his money now and or taking it off the table?
Well, I'll tell you where Ben Stein is putting his money. It's kind of sad and funny, but it's really mostly sad. My son, age 37, died on July 4th, and so I now have picked up the burden of supporting his family. And it's not an enormously weighty burden. It's mostly an emotional burden, but that's where a lot of my money goes. And so that's a sad story of where it goes. The rest of it goes, I think it will. I now have no official heirs, so I think it will go to Yale. It treated me very, very well when I was there. And as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing that would be too good for me to do for them. They really treated me like a prince when I was there.
So sorry to have that news broadcast here this evening, and we wish you and your family all the best, of course, as always, Ben Stein, and we love speaking with you. And
always good to me.
Thank you very much. Well, Ben, thank you very much for taking the call tonight. We'll let you get on with the important work of continuing your shopping this evening, and hopefully get to see you soon and talk with you again very, very soon. Thank you very much for taking the call. Thank you very much. Thank you. That is the one and only Ben Stein live with us here tonight on Mottek On Money on 790 KBC. Friends, if you're injured in an accident, you need an experienced advocate. And Clark Fielding and his team of sharks at Fielding Law are on standby, ready to dive into your case. My friend Clark the Shark is fearless for justice and your go-to attorney when injured in an accident that wasn't your fault. Whether it's a car accident, slip, trip, fall, or any other personal injury, Fielding Law is here to make sure you get the care, attention, and compensation you deserve. Fielding Law can assess the circumstances of the case, negotiate tenaciously with insurance companies, and if necessary, file a lawsuit and litigate to seek fair compensation on your behalf, the injured party. An injury is a major disruption in your life. Medical expenses, lost wages, pain and suffering, property damage, and other losses incurred as a result of the injury are part of the damages. Don't try to handle this process alone. You need an expert in the process. The team at Fielding Law are the ones to trust. Put Clark Fielding's number in your phone under the word accident. Do it right now. That number is 833-88-SHARK, 833-88-SHARK, or go to clarkthesharklaw.com. Mottek On Money continues here on 790 KBC. Good evening. All this week, KBC is your chance to win a relax and rejuvenate getaway to Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Spa, which includes a 2-night stay at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino, dinner at Edge Steakhouse, and spa credit at Serenity Spa. Right now, be caller 9. The number is 1-888-795-2222, 1-888-795-2222 to win a relax and rejuvenate getaway to Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Spa, home of legendary Vegas fun. Must be at least 21 to win. Prizes provided by Westgate Las Vegas. Call right now. Caller 9 wins 1-888-790-5222. Mottek On Money continues here on 790 KBC. The kickoff to the week, the month of October, in the fourth quarter of 2023. Mixed today with the Dow down 74 points at the closing bell at 33,433. The S&P 500 moved up a fraction, holding on to a closing gain of about a third of a point at 4,288. And the NASDAQ gained 88 points at 13,308. The yield in the 10-year note pushing higher today to 4.67%. Yep, higher again, the highest we've seen since 2007. That's the one that impacts the fixed-rate mortgage rates, which continue to hover at about 23-year highs. And yes, at Southern California gas pumps, you are noticing high prices. In fact, we're going to be talking about that with you this evening. Yep, a chance to talk to me about what's happening, the impact of gas prices impacting you. What's your reaction to those prices at or near record highs here in the Los Angeles area? Are you making any sacrifices to continue to drive at this point? How are you keeping your finances in line in the face of those near record high prices at this point? You can give us a call here coming up in about 15 minutes or so. The number is 800-222-5222, 800-222-5222. Mottek On Money continues here in 790 KBC. Good evening. No government shutdown today thanks to some last-minute action in Washington over the weekend, but more political drama playing out. As you just heard on the news, Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida has filed a resolution to remove House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, a fellow Republican, from his post as their chamber's leader. Also, did you hear about this? A Democratic member of Congress was caught on tape pulling a fire alarm in the House office building ahead of the stopgap spending vote over the weekend. Joining us live now from Washington is Southern California Republican Congressman Jay Obernolte. Congressman, thank you very much for coming to the line this evening and keeping us well informed about what's happening there. Take it from the top and tell us what happened there over the weekend.
Oh, my goodness. Well, obviously we were here this weekend trying to come to some consensus on reducing government spending and avoiding a government shutdown, which we did on Saturday. It was unfortunately not the bill that many of us wanted. We voted on a continuing resolution that was at a much lower spending level on Friday and contained some very important protections for strengthening our border. But unfortunately, we were not able to put together enough votes to pass that on Friday. And so Saturday, the House passed what we call a clean continuing resolution.
Former Navy SEAL Mike Ritland keeps it real on the Mike Drop podcast.
He's the co-CEO of the All Secure Foundation, which assists special operations and active duty combat vets. Tom Satterley.
Nobody helped you shoot your gun. They trained you how to shoot your weapon. So we're going to train you on the things you've never been trained for, how to come home from war. Everything else that turns people away from it, we try to rebrand it.
Reduce or dismiss the kind of stigma that's associated with it.
You have to.
Mike Drop. Raw. Unfiltered. Intellectually sound. Wherever you listen.
Resolution, which means it just continued spending at the current fiscal year 23 levels for another 45 days, and the president signed it. So we're not looking at a government shutdown, but we've got 45 days to to try and get our act together and pass the appropriations bills that, frankly, we should have had passed months ago.
On the Air Live with Southern California Republican Congressman Jay Obernolte. Thank you for that important update. And now we have some drama within the Republican Party there, challenge to Speaker McCarthy's leadership. Give us your reaction to what's happening with that.
Well, it's just, unfortunately, more drama in the House that's going to distract from the real work that we had to do, which is very compelling. I think the number one thing that's before us this year is to try and reduce government spending and reduce our deficit, balance the budget, and get our national debt paid down. And unfortunately, we're going to be dealing with this issue again tomorrow. But I think that this is it's just crazy that we're having this fight amongst conservatives, because these folks that are raising this stink about the speaker, they're upset that this continuing resolution was passed with Democratic votes, but frankly, they're the ones that caused that, because they refused to vote for anything that was more conservative. So for them now to turn around and pretend that this is all the speaker's fault is just ridiculous. I think Kevin McCarthy's done a great job as leader. I'm very confident that he'll continue to be the Speaker of the House. It's just a shame that this is yet another distraction.
And aid to Ukraine has become an issue. What are your thoughts on that important subject at this point?
Sure. Well, I mean, I've been very vocal about the fact that I think we should be supporting Ukraine, but my question is, how do we pay for it? I think that in an era when we are enacting pretty substantial reductions in discretionary spending, if the White House wants this to be a priority, I think they're going to need to find room in their budget for it. So that'll certainly be an issue that we're going to be talking about over the weeks ahead.
Congressman Obernolte, let me ask you this. What happened when that fire alarm went off, and what's your reaction to this story here? I've never seen anything like it, with a member of Congress caught on tape pulling a fire alarm ahead of an important vote like that.
Yes, that's just ridiculous. He says that he was trying to get to a vote on a motion to adjourn, and I remember vividly this vote because I was walking from my office, which is in the Longworth building, not the Cannon building where the alarm was pulled, and I remember I still had about 10 minutes left in the voting period, and I walked through the tunnel, and I heard that cannon alarm going off. So, there was plenty of time to get to that vote. And on top of that, these doors that are alarmed, they're not always open, but if you ever wanted to get out of one of these doors, they're all emergency exits. You just push the bar, and yes, sometimes an alarm will go off, not the fire alarm, the door alarm. But that's all that would have been required. If you absolutely wanted to get out a door to go to a vote, you would not need to pull the fire alarm to do that.
So 2 investigations have been launched into that situation now, we understand.
Yes, yeah, and I understand that the Capitol Police have launched an investigation. I think that that's the appropriate place for it right now. I think that we should hang back, let the Capitol Police do their job and finish that investigation, and then we'll see what their findings are.
Congressman, while we have in the line here, let me ask you this. Another big story first thing this morning, Governor Newsom appointing Democratic Party and union strategist LaFonza Butler to become California's newest U.S. Senator, taking the seat vacated by Senator Dianne Feinstein, who passed away at the age of 90 on Friday. We understand she's been living in Maryland, reportedly has property here in California. Give us your reaction to that big story here today.
Well, I was very disappointed, as were many of us on Capitol Hill. It's just astonishing to me that the governor couldn't have found someone amongst the 38 million Californians that was equipped to represent the state in the Senate, at least temporarily until the end of the term there. And the fact that instead we're relying on someone that's moved to a different state, I think is very disappointing.
Congressman, let me ask you this. Of course, the economy very much in focus here with gas prices soaring to at or near record highs at this point here in Southern California. The government's running out of money, and so are many people here in California at this point, given what's going on. Give us your reaction to what's happening with consumers here in California facing these kind of prices, about $1.50 or so higher than what they're paying in the middle of the Pacific and Hawaii, and, of course, significantly higher than the rest of the nation.
Absolutely. Well, I think that what everyone needs to keep in mind is this is the problem that government has caused. I know the governor and the ruling party in California wants to always point the finger at supply and demand, but all you have to do, as you've said, is to compare our prices to neighboring states, and you'll see the delta between California and what consumers in other states are paying. And Frank, I represent nearly 100,000 people who commute from my district into and out of Los Angeles every day. And so every time the state government forces them to pay more for a gallon of gas, that money comes out of the budget for their basic household necessities, because that's what economists call inelastic demand. They have to get to work. They don't have a choice about whether or not to buy gas for their vehicles. So, this is just an unconscionable burden on these people that is really, really costing them a quality of life and is costing their families, economically at a time when they just can't afford to pay it.
And Congressman, it is to be noted that 100 years ago, California accounted for 25% of the world's oil production. Isn't that something? And obviously, as you said, policies have changed over the years, and we've gotten to this point. Any hope that we will build any more refineries here in California or take any other action that would lower the price here in California?
Well, I think the good news in California is that people are starting to wake up and realize just what a huge role the government has had to play in creating this problem. And Frank, as you're aware, it's not just gas prices we're talking about. Look at our prices that we pay for electricity. I know the state government is trying to force everyone to electrify. They want to get rid of gas stoves. They want to get rid of gas-powered furnaces. But electricity costs about twice as much in California on average as it does in neighboring states. It costs 3 times as much for commercial electricity, 4 times as much for industrial electricity. And then we wonder about the fact that businesses don't want to come here, that people struggle to live here. In my hometown, the local utility provider just filed a race case with the Public Utility Commission seeking to raise the base rate for residential electricity up over 40 cents a kilowatt hour. And, even if you're a fan of electric vehicles, just try to do the math on affording to charge an electric vehicle at 40 cents a kilowatt hour. It absolutely cannot be done. These energy policies are disastrous for Californians. And if there's any good news there, Frank, I think it's that the average California is starting to pay attention.
Certainly. And of course, we all recall when Governor Davis was recalled. Remember during the Enron days when at that time energy prices soared. And certainly got to be a lot of consumer outrage about what's happening here at the gas pump at this point.
Absolutely, and there ought to be even more. The Biden administration has declared a war on the U.S. domestic production of energy, which is completely nonsensical, because when you force American consumers to import energy from other countries, not only is it more expensive, not only is it terrible for our national security, it's also worse for the planet, because we already have the most stringent environmental regulations in the world. So it's actually cheaper to produce that energy, cleaner to produce that energy here, in addition to cheaper.
Congressman, thank you very much for fielding all of our questions here in Los Angeles tonight. We wish you all the best there, and thank you for keeping us updated here on what's happening in Washington. That is Southern California Republican Congressman Jay Obernolte joining us live here tonight on Mottek On Money on 790 KBC. Thank you very much, Congressman.
Great to talk to you, Frank.
Likewise. Thank you very, very much. And next up, you, the listener. That's right. I'm going to be opening the phones coming up here in the next segment, talking about gas prices. How are you holding up? How are gas prices impacting you as you drive around and see those price signs out there with gas prices at or near record highs? What's your reaction to those prices? Are you going to have an expensive night out tonight here in Los Angeles? Give us a call here. The number is 800-222-5222. Again, that's 800-222-5222. I'll be taking your calls coming up here next on Mottek On Money on 790 KBC. The future of joint pain relief is here, folks. It's called QC Kinetics, Advanced Regenerative Medicine. This is amazing stuff. Frank Mottek here. If you've been told more steroids or surgery are your only options, don't be so fast. Get a second opinion on that and learn more about how you can harness your body's own healing agents to attack that joint pain. I'm talking about lasting relief. QC Kinetics doesn't mask the pain. These treatments go right to the very root of the problem using concentrated healing properties placed directly in your joint to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue. Imagine living your life this fall, no more pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or back, no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Life's about motion, and QC Kinetics is giving people their lives back with these all-natural treatments. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. QC Kinetics, locations in Glendale, the city of Orange, Mission Viejo, and now also in Costa Mesa. Call 213-997-PAIN. That's 213-997-PAIN. Again, that's 213-997-PAIN. Mottek On Money continues here in 790 KBC. Good evening. If you want to take your date out for an expensive night out in Los Angeles, well, head to a gas station. Gas prices at or near record highs, as you've probably noticed out there. Want to turn to you, the listener. Yep, on how gas prices are impacting you. The number to call, 800-222-5222. Again, that's 800-222-5222 to join me on the air tonight here on 790 KBC, Mottek on Money. And let's go to line 1, Morris in the City of Commerce. Morris, how you doing there?
All right. Hey, I'm on my way driving to Costco right now to get gas. I'm down a quarter of a tank, and I'm there every second day filling up. So what can I tell you?
Well, that's smart because it looks like they have one of the lowest prices here in the area. There are different locations here. I see in Lakewood, $5.39, and San Dimas, $5.39, and Pomona also looks like $5.39. So looks like you're heading to the right spot. Of course, you have to have a membership. You must be a member there, right?
Yes, I am. Yes.
All right. So how are you holding up in the face of these at or near record high prices?
Well, if you remember a while back, we had it on the election to cut out the California state gas tax, and people voted it down. So what are they complaining now for? All right, the money goes to the sky. I mean, this is constant. Everything is going reverse. We had to try to get rid of our governor, and he kept his position, get rid of gas cap, gas cone, whatever his name is. He kept his position, so what are we complaining about?
All excellent points, Morris. Thank you very much. We wish you a wonderful evening, and good luck out there. $6.28 now the average price for regular gas in Los Angeles, $6.63 the average price for premium, $6.51 now the average price for diesel. Let's go to line 2, Jim in Van Nuys. Jim, how are you doing out there?
I'm well, Frank. How are you getting on?
All right. Thanks so much for calling in, and give us your reaction to what you're seeing out there.
I'm an Uber driver. I drive full time, and we're us drivers. We're just getting slaughtered right now. It's really to the point where I even ask myself what I'm even doing out here driving for.
What's it all about, Alfie? Right. So does it even? Obviously, when gas prices were low, when Uber was coming up, it was great, right? Some years ago, but now you're actually questioning whether it's worth doing it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I'm coming up on 9 years, and at times Uber has been fantastic and totally supportive of it. But with some of the moves that Uber's been doing to us, and then with the gas prices, we're just getting hit from every angle, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Are you guys able to get benefits now with that? How have things played out there working for Uber?
Yeah, I mean, overall, as I said, I'm in about my 9th year, and it's been fantastic overall. But this year has just been awful. Some of the things.
Are you making sacrifices to deal with those high prices? Are you cutting back on anything else to afford gas at this point?
Let's just say there's a lot of instant noodles in the dark.
Yeah, ramen.
Yeah,
ramen noodles. Okay. All right, well, head to the nearest gas station. Make sure you get a lottery ticket tonight. We got the Powerball up above $1 billion. So we wish you all the best, Jim. Thank you very much for listening and for calling in this evening.
All right, you go well, Frank. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in tonight and calling in. And Art, the famous Art, is with us here at the station. He's one of us. And Art, your reaction to what you passed by here this evening at the gas pumps?
Yeah, so you know how I'm dealing with this, Frank. I live in Orange County, so I commute into Culver City every single day. And the way that I've been dealing with this, and I think it's the only way to deal with this, is I go to Costco, just like Morris, and I go every single morning at 6 a.m. and I just fill up. So I keep the tank full, and I try to minimize how much I'm putting, because every day it's going up. So I figure if I keep putting gas in every day, I'll be paying less than I would be otherwise. And it's hard, man. It's really hard. You know, the commute sucks, and it's difficult out there. And we're definitely budgeting otherwise. You know, we didn't go out to dinner this weekend because got to put that money in the gas tank.
Yeah, isn't that something? I didn't even know you lived in the OC, so you get extra credit from me, certainly, for making that trip. But we have people from all over the world here in the Los Angeles area, and some come from as far away as Orange County. So
I heard there's people actually coming here just to pay those gas prices to say they did.
Isn't that something? Yeah. Well, look at you can have a really great night out, or an expensive night out anyway. You can impress your date here just heading to some of these gas stations. And by the way, it does pay to pay attention to those signs out there, as you well know, Art. It sounds like you and the other gentleman is going to Costco doing the right thing, because with a membership there, you do get a break. But huge differences. There's one station right here in the mid-city of Los Angeles that hasn't even changed the price sign since the prices hit a record high last October. They just kept it up $8 for premium. So if you want to pay that, you have the option of doing so. But right now, the average, just for comparison, is $6.28 a gallon. That's the regular price average. So if you can get something at that or below, that's considered a good deal at this point. $6.63, the average price for premium, and $6.51, the average price now for diesel. $6.49, by the way, was the all-time record high paid for regular in Los Angeles. That was the record average high paid last October 5th. So we're
going to break it. We'll break it.
We're getting pretty close now, and it looks like there is upward pressure here. By the way, in Hawaii, they're paying $4.77. We're paying $6.28. How does that happen? $3.81 is the national average price for gas nationwide. $3.81 compared to our $6.28. So,
well, they're also saying too that we're probably going to be going through this for at least another month.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be talking about it. We're going to be talking about it with the experts and with you, our fantastic listeners. So, thank you very much for calling in tonight, Art. Thank you. Have a safe drive home this evening. This is Mottek On Money on 790 KBC.
We're all juggling life, a career, and trying to build a little bit of wealth. The Brown Ambition podcast with host Mandy and Tiffany the Budgetnista can help.
If I do even consider lending, I always ask myself, will this solve the problem? So I know you don't have your money for mortgage because you don't have a job. So what happens next month? Oh, I don't know. I'm going to have to think about that next month. Now, it's another thing if you're like, hey, Tiffany, I have $1,000 left to pay on my car and then I'm car note free and I'll be able to pay you back, the 3 months I used to pay my car note. That solves the problem.
Brown Ambition.
Wherever you listen.